Hey, good morning and happy race day, everybody. Let's go over the Cup Series picks for Road America today. Hopefully, you guys survived the Xfinity Series race yesterday. It was crazy when there was that big wreck. It completely changed the slate. So hopefully, you were able to make it out on the positive end. But nonetheless, we're moving on to today's race. So if you didn't play yesterday or if you're just playing the race today, Road America is a road course. It's a relatively longer course. It takes them about 2 minutes and 15 seconds just to complete a lap. So because of that, there's really not that many laps throughout the race. There's only 62 laps. So what does that really mean? How does that really impact our strategy for today? Well, there's really not that many dominator points. For laps led, you get 15 and a half. For fast laps, you get 27.9. So our main focus, instead of trying to, stack dominator plays or try to stack lap leaders, it's really just what drivers do we feel confident that can either finish well, who can finish top 15, top 12, top 10, or drivers who start deep in the field and can gain positive place differential points and also still finish, top 15, top 12, top 10. So that's really going to be our focus. Maybe if you do want to play a lap leader, maybe you only have one of them in your line and you're playing that lap leader because you think they're going to, dominate the race and you're basically playing them to win. So thanks for all the support so far. We're at 600, or I wish we were at 600 subs. We're at 516. Slowly but surely, we're creeping up to that 600 number. So thank you guys for all the support. Hopping into the actual driver by driver breakdown, looking at the expensive range, Larson and Elliott both start towards the front of the field. I don't mind coming in underweight on both of them. I have high interest on both of them for now. You're playing Larson or you're playing Elliott because you think that they're going to be the main lap leader. They're going to, set themselves up for success to win this race at the end. If either of them have an issue and they're in your line, or if they start third and finish 14th or something like that, it's not going to be a good day. So I don't mind coming in underweight on these drivers and just trying to focus around place differential or some other drivers up in this range. But I probably wouldn't play them together. Maybe one of them as your main lap leader and then pairing them around other place differential plays. It just kind of comes down to, who you're more confident in. I would say Larson probably had the best car at Sonoma. He arguably almost won if it wasn't for just dumb pit strategy. We know how good Elliott is on the road courses, and he did lay down the fastest qualifying time and will have track position. So don't mind going to either one of those plays if you're taking the single dominator approach. If not, let's talk about some other plays up in this range. So Kyle Busch is interesting. He's probably someone to try to come in under the field on. I don't know how high owned he's going to be. He did have to make an engine change. So even though he scored from 13th, he will be starting in the rear of the field. I don't really feel like that impacts his DFS day too much. It just might take him a little bit longer to get up there. But with so few laps, you're really only playing them for their finishing position. And we know Kyle Busch is a good driver and a good road course racer. So maybe a lot of people will be underweight on Kyle Busch. So maybe it's a weekend to try to go a little bit overweight on Kyle Busch. Ross Chastain is probably one of my favorite plays. He's a driver who barely missed out on Q2 of qualifying. Starts 12th. He had great practice times. We saw him won COTA earlier this year. He's been pretty much fast at every single track that we've been at. So I like his upside a lot. Denny Hamlin's okay. Him and Truex kind of seem like basically the same play. Neither of them really had great practice times, which is a little bit of a concern. But we know they're skilled drivers, and we know JGR should be bringing a decent enough car for them to perform well. I just would rather prefer paying up for Chastain in this range if you can. If not, I kind of like Hamlin a little bit more than Truex. Hamlin just showed to have a little bit better practice times, which makes me feel a little bit better about rostering him than Truex. But both of them look very similar. Joey Logano's just going to, you can't play everybody. So Joey Logano is someone I don't really feel like I'm going to get to today. I'd much rather go down to Ryan Blaney. Blaney had great practice times. He offers you a lot of place differential upside, and He's finished inside the top 10 at both road course races this year so far. So I like Blaney's upside a lot. Allmendinger is rather expensive at 9,100. He starts 21st. We know how good of a road course racer he is. It really just kind of comes down to what type of car is Kaulig going to bring for AJ. He starts right in the middle of the field. I think he could easily, finish 12th. I could see him maybe finishing 10th. If he does, that'll be a decent day for him. So I don't mind going to Allmendinger, but I think Byron's more of a cash games play. Byron's going to carry a ton of ownership. He starts so deep in the field. The one thing I will say with William Byron is he's really been struggling as of late. This team has not been running well. The practice times did not look good. The qualifying time basically backed up those practice times. So this team is off this weekend. They've been off the last handful of weeks. However, it is a road course, and it's very easy for him to have a good DFS day with how few dominator points are available. So he's going to be extremely high owned. If you're playing cash games, you automatically just kind of jam him in. I think he's a fine tournament play as well. But a guy that I would rather play in tournaments would be Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell, I think, is underpriced. He's kind of the opposite of William Byron. He's been extremely trending in the right direction these last handful of weeks. He's just been a top 10 machine. So if he can do that, start 16th, give you some positive place differential and that top 10 finishing potential, I think Christopher Bell is set up for a good day today. Kurt Busch is going to be a medium interest for me. I think he kind of starts mid-pack. We know he's a good road course racer. I just don't know how high up he can get. I'd much rather probably play Bell or Byron if I can, but if you can't afford either of them, I don't mind going to Kurt Busch. And then once we get to these next three drivers, they're all kind of aggressive GPP options. So, the name of the game is really chasing place differential and finishing potential. Well, the only thing, and that's what kind of makes some of these drivers risky right here, is they have the finishing potential. They have the speed to back it up, the practice times, the qualifying times, the track position. It looks like they should finish up towards the front of the field. The only problem is they can't really gain you any place differential points. So they're really only going to be GPP options. But Cindric's another one of those drivers who's finished inside the top 10 at all the road courses this year. Reddick just was laying down just blistering fast times in practice and qualifying. And Chase Briscoe looked to have arguably the best car by far until Elliott just laid down that really fast lap, and it looked like Briscoe fell off a little bit time-wise. So a lot of people are going to be chasing Larson and Elliott. It's kind of that early, dominator, or maybe the dominator, a lap leader. I think if you did want to take a single dominator approach, I think coming down to Chase Briscoe to give you all the salary relief is an interesting option. I'm not saying it's the go-to option. I like going there, seeing how fast Briscoe was in practice and qualifying, and the crazy salary relief that you get from Larson and Elliott, and probably the significant ownership difference as well. Bowman's just, I don't think I'm going to get there. Harvick's going to be another play very similar to William Byron. He's just basically $1,000 cheaper. Another driver like Byron who didn't really show great practice and qualifying times, but he starts so deep in the field, he really can't hurt your line. Another strong cash games option. Daniel Suarez looks like a completely mispriced driver this weekend. He won Sonoma, which we know is, the most recent road course we were just at. His teammate Ross Chastain won COTA. So we know Trackhouse is bringing fast cars. He has that place differential upside, that finishing potential. I love Daniel Suarez today. Eric Jones and Eric Almirola seem like very similar plays. Both of them practiced okay. They kind of qualified around where they practiced. Both of them start towards, the second half of the field. I'd rather go to Eric Jones if you can. He starts just a little bit deeper, and I think their upside is relatively similar. Stenhouse is going to be another, high-owned cash games play. he didn't have great practice times. You know, he kind of qualify or practice times were around like 25th, 27th, but starting 33rd, it's hard to see him falling much worse than his starting position, especially if some drivers have issues or wreck out, or there's another, you know, big wreck like we saw in the Xfinity Series race. McDowell is going to be another driver similar to kind of the Reddick, Cindric, and Briscoe approach we were talking about. I don't necessarily think McDowell can get up there and lead you laps, but I do think he has the potential to finish inside the top 10, and that'll give you some good value for his price. I wouldn't play like Reddick, Cindric, Briscoe, and McDowell like all together. Like maybe, you know, just one of these drivers and pairing them. Maybe like I wouldn't probably play more than two drivers inside the top 10. It just kind of comes down to, or maybe three. It just kind of comes down to who you're confident in. Don't really think I'm going to get to Keselowski. I don't mind Bubba. He's not necessarily the best road course racer. We know his pit crew's just been screwing him over week. So a little bit of a risky play. Buescher looks like basically the same play as McDowell. Austin Dillon, I think, starts mid-pack. I think he finishes about mid-pack. Cole Custer is a really aggressive GPP option, really cheap. Showed great practice and qualifying times. The same kind of idea as Buescher and McDowell. You're just kind of hoping that he maintains that track position and finishes around where he qualifies. Can't get to all these punt plays. You know, Todd Gilliland starts deep, but he also qualified. You know, he qualified there, and his practice times were reflective of where he qualified. On the other hand, Justin Haley and Ty Dillon both qualified deep, but their practice times were very promising. So I'd much rather go to Justin Haley and or Ty Dillon if you need some punt options today. And then I don't really think I'm going to get to really any of these other drivers on the slate. Maybe Corey LaJoie is a pivot off of the Justin Haley and Ty Dillon chalk. But I don't really think you have to get too crazy down here. So it should be an interesting race. Like I said, name of the game is kind of place differential and finishing potential. So ideally, you just want to build your lineup with 6 drivers who you feel confident who can finish towards the front of the field. And if you're able to get drivers in that lineup who also can give you positive place differential points, I think that's going to be the way to go today. So hopefully that's been helpful. If so, all we really ask is just leaving a like on the video, or if you haven't subscribed, just hitting that subscribe button. Any questions or comments, drop them in the comments below, or you can hit us up on Twitter. It's at FastCarsFM. But that'll do it, and good luck today.